Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by my lovely co host, Angel.
Hello.
We are wrapping up Port Charles Tainted Love, weeks 12 and 13. A lot happened, so I will roll the credits and we'll get right into it. I don't even know where to begin, honestly.
I don't know either. Should we begin it? Maybe begin in Transylvania. Wait,
Okay.
wait. What was like the smallest storyline? I guess we'll start with I guess that would be Chris and Gabby, or the Gabby angle of it. But they all kind of weave together though. So
They do. Let's do Transylvania because it's kind of separate and then it kind of blends into everything else.
Mhm.
So last we saw Lucy was apprehended by a mystery man who we know just from life is Rafe.
We know him as Brian Gaskell. Yes.
Yeah. And we find out that he's a Kovich, so he's her distant cousin.
Mhm.
And he reveals to her that she's a vampire slayer.
Lucy, the vampire slayer.
And I did roll my eyes at this, even though I knew it was coming. Just knowing like the pop culture, what it was back then with Buffy.
Yes.
And everything.
I remember people were I remember like the real life reaction to this. I mean, not real life reaction, but like the message boards were like going crazy over this twist.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And then somebody, I think it was Novell. It had to have been Novell. Did like and it might still be on YouTube. Did like a Port Charles Buffy the Vampire Slayer opening credits.
Really?
Like, but I think it might have. I don't think. No wait. I think it might have been when the credits changed, which was like a few arcs from now. Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, James, that's his name, right?
James, yeah.
Okay.
James Richfield.
He tries to get Kevin to drink an old bottle of wine that he just uncorked.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows it to Kevin, and Kevin kind of blows on it, and dust blows all over the place, which makes him start choking.
Mm.
And I laughed because he asked for water, but then James just poured him a glass of wine, and he like. We end up finding out that the wine was drugged pretty much because Kevin passes out. And James is hell-bent on protecting the Morley family legacy and secrets. They end up putting Kevin, Lucy, and Rafe in a cage. And another eye roll moment when Lucy's explaining how this is my cousin, I'm a vampire slayer. Kevin, like, he had like a slight moment where he was like, what? And then he was like, oh, okay. Like, he just accepts it. Like, we're in that part of the show now where everything is just
I like how he said what? He was like, what? Like he had emphasis on the H, the WH. I love that.
And then we see James saying, you know, I think he said something along the lines of, she's the reason why you're in there right now or something. Mm-hmm. So Lucy decides that she is gonna try and persuade James to let them out and give up the family secrets. So she kind of flirts with him and says that she's always wanted to be a vampire, and she like, how great would it be if Caleb had like a vampire slayer on his side? And James reveals a needle that apparently he says it was extracted from Caleb's blood, and that if he injects her with it, she'll become a vampire. And she's like, oh no. She's like, you know, I kind of have a thing about needles. She's like, I was kind of the old-fashioned way that I'd get bitten. And so then he like pretty much he calls her bluff that she doesn't want to be a vampire, and a struggle ensues. Kevin fakes a heart attack to get out of the cage, which we don't see. We just see him have the fake heart attack, but then he's free, him and Rafe. So they must have overpowered the guard, and they come to Lucy's rescue. And there's a struggle between James and Kevin, and I couldn't tell if James fell on the needle or if because he was like, "You'll never get the secrets," he like stuck himself with the needle.
Yeah, I missed that part too.
All I know is that I saw him holding the needle and it was empty, and I wasn't sure what that when he if he fell, he like fell on the needle. So I'm not really sure. But
I'll
anyway, he
just
was injected with the poison.
yeah, I'll just assume he fell on the needle because
Yeah.
then because the way yeah.
So he died. And I feel like I have confronted my childhood trauma. I am no longer afraid of the actor. He has no power over me anymore.
Coming soon, the Queers and Soaps, Another World.
I don't know about all that.
Oh no, we'll do Carl's Redemption. Just kidding. We'll do Carl's Redemption. We'll take that for right out of you.
Oh, so somewhere in these conversations, James must have mentioned that Caleb's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
So now the trio, Lucy, Kevin, and Rafe, are trying to find some kind of talisman or something that they could use against Caleb. And they find a key, I think, in his pocket. Was it his pocket? Or the drawer? It was somewhere around the body. They found a key.
Around the body, yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, even if we try every keyhole in this mansion, like it'll take forever. So then Kevin says, well, he started to freak out. He tried to keep his cool, James tried to keep his cool. But he started to freak out when he was by this bookcase and he was like pulling things off the bookcase. So Kevin goes back to that area and I guess he found a lever that pulls the bookcase and there's like a secret door.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little weary about all three of them going in there all together because it was like, I was like, this feels like a trap. Like it's going to slam and you guys are going to get locked in there somehow. But they find this old book and it's like the family tree and they like go to like where Michael and Caleb are, but it's only listing Caleb. There's no Michael. So I guess we could put a pin in that until they come back to
that. And then also when they came in and they saw the thing there, reminded me of Charmed.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
The Book of Shadows.
The Book of Shadows display. Yeah. I thought of Buffy actually, the pilot episode when Giles like slams the vampire book in front of Buffy because I don't know, just the way he pulled it out and it was dusty. It reminded me of that. It's funny how we connect things from our childhood. Mm-hmm. So now back in Port Charles, Jack is trying to starve himself to death because they think Caleb's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want to hurt Livy. He basically like pushed her away, told her he didn't care about her and that he wanted to kill her or he would kill her. So he's starving himself and he's in Caleb's lair or cave where the bed sometimes appears with no plumbing.
No plumbing, no.
Allison is there begging him not to do this because she cares about him. He's one of her best friends. Jamal has gone to the hospital to get some blood bags to stop him from doing this. And he runs into the guy. So this will happen really quick because this happened in like the first episode. And I feel like within like the span of the credits, we found out she was a vampire slayer, and then we found this out, and I was like, whoa, slow down.
Slow down, slow your roll.
He ran into the guy that ran the magic shop that Jack and him had gone to earlier in the arc to find out about vampires. And they have a discussion back and forth, and Jamal kind of tries to brush him off. At first, he's like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm dealing with like real life shit right now. And he admits that his friend's a vampire, and he's like, oh, I could tell. And he's like, yeah, but we handled it. And he's like, well, if your friend's a vampire, then you didn't. He's like, because you got to kill the king bat before, so the rest of them could be cured. So then that's how we find out that Caleb is not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we knew this. And I'm like, because that was Caleb in a Michael costume.
Yeah, totally, that's exactly what happened.
Totally was wrong. So, where was Livy through all this?
With Caleb.
She was with him? Oh, right, because he bit her.
Yeah.
He bit her. So he was all weak and beaten up. And he found her by the water. And last we saw, she was allowing him to bite her. She, like, wanted it.
Mhm.
And so we picked up, and we see he has blood on his face, so he actually did bite her. And I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I didn't really remember this happening in this arc." So, I guess she's in transition, kinda like Jack is.
Mhm.
This whole Jack and Gabby, like, they have to kill somebody to be a vampire, but I'm like, "But they have teeth and they are drinking blood, so, like, what do you mean? Like, aren't they vampires?"
I feel like this lore wasn't, thought
Oh,
out
right.
properly.
Although, if she's supposed to be like Jack and Gabby, we never see her teeth. Maybe she didn't make it that far in the transition.
Yeah, I'm thinking because well, if it's assumed that Jack has been a vampire since the end of time in a bottle, then and I guess his
Mm.
powers went in full effect when he died. Um,
Oh, okay.
when he died, so I'm thinking because like Jack had a lot of time. I mean, we'll talk. I'll talk briefly about time later on. Because I'm confused about one element of time when it comes to these arcs. Um, I think Jack had more time to like form, and of course he was fed blood and everything like that. So
Yeah, and even though he hasn't transitioned, I guess, because he hasn't killed anybody,
mhm.
he still has some powers because he teleports.
Yeah,
So it's very confusing. They didn't really set up the lore too well. Um, so we probably shouldn't think about it too hard 'cause it's gonna hurt our brains because it won't make sense.
no, it's gonna be like Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's just a show. You should just relax. So
Yeah. So, Caleb transports him and Livy back to the mansion that looks like a resort, and she's back in her wedding dress.
back in the wedding dress.
And they get married, but there's no, like, and there isn't anybody officiating it. I feel like he just was like, "Nope, we're married now." He's like, "I'm just gonna marry us."
I am
Uh,
my own minister.
right. I was kinda hoping that Kimberlin Brown would also pop up again, like, one more time. Just give it to us one more time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
'Cause I don't think we're gonna going forward. So I was just like, "Ah, one more time, please." Um, so they get married, and then quickly they make love. And then he ends up she's asleep and he or passed out, and he leaves her.
I think she's passed out.
Yeah, and he
I think
leaves
she's
her by the
passed out.
river in her wedding dress,
Mhm.
dead, because she's in transition. Um, Jamal goes back to the cave with blood for Jack, and he manages to stop Allison from feeding him with her because she, like, stabbed herself in her hand so he
Mhm.
could drink. So he managed to stop that from happening. Um, and he explains that Caleb's still alive. So I guess this gives Jack the motivation to stay alive to protect Livy.
Mhm.
And they go looking for her by the river, and Jamal's the one that finds her body at first.
Mhm.
So then he runs to go tell Jack and Allison, and when they go back, Livy's gone. Um, when Caleb left her by the river, he whispered something in her ear about her finding him to complete her transition. So she ended up back in the cave. So it's almost like everybody was like walking in circles. Like they ended up where the other person was.
Mhm.
She ends up in the cave with no plumbing and no bed. Um,
That's what she's like laying in the wedding dress, right?
yeah, and by the rocks.
By the rocks. Yeah, I remember seeing. So I may have saw the promo for Tempted, which is the next arc,
Hmm.
and it's just clips from this arc. There's nothing
Really?
new.
Yeah, I was looking because like a lot of these arcs have music videos, and Tempted didn't. And I'm not sure if it's because they didn't have a real like theme song for it.
They did have a theme song.
They did.
I forgot the name of the band though. It's
Uh,
that "Tempted by the fruit of your lover, tempted but the truth is discovered." That song. So
I'll have to look for it.
yeah, but I wonder if real life events prevented them from really doing much with Tempted.
Mm. Yeah. So she ends up back in the mansion. She did what she was supposed to do. She chose Caleb pretty much. Um and somehow Jack teleports himself to the mansion knowing that Livy's there. And I thought it was kind of gross of Caleb. So Jack, oh, because I jumped ahead too fast.
Yeah.
Jack had gotten in his head that he would sacrifice himself to save Livy if he
Mhm.
joined Caleb, and I'm like, why would he want that? He wants Olivia. He wants to have a bride and a family. Like,
Mhm.
why would you be an equal substitute for that? Like, that's not doesn't sound like something Caleb would go for. But
No.
okay, we'll go with your logic. So he ends up teleporting there, and I thought it was really gross of Caleb to be like, you could watch us make love. Like, that's gross. And also, you didn't ask Livy if she was into that. Like,
Yeah, okay, that part right there. And I remember something similar happening on Bold and the Beautiful,
really?
where it's similar, not the same thing, but like where, and I saw a clip of it just this week where Stephanie's like, "Come on, you two, make love," and it's Eric and Brooke.
What?
Yeah, she's like, "Come on, you two, make love," like, and they go to make love right in front of her
Why?
because Bold and the Beautiful in the early 2000s loves to shock people. I don't know.
I wonder what the circumstances were with that. Like, was she being sarcastic? Like, that's weird. Huh. That's weird and gross. Like, I don't know how I feel about
Yeah.
that.
Well, at least at least it's known that there is cuckolding in daytime. So we have
um,
an E rating on this, right?
we're explicit.
Okay, perfect.
um, so Caleb says to Livy to complete her transition, she has to kill somebody, and he basically orders her to kill Jack. And she like walks towards him to do it, and she's like, I felt like she was talking a little bit loud because I feel like Caleb could hear her, but she was like, go, Jack, go." Like she was like trying to tell him to leave. And then she like leaned in like she was gonna bite him, and she's like, I can't do it. So I guess this is supposed to be showing that the power of their love is stronger than Caleb's like power over her. Because he
Basically, Care Bear love, you know.
can't be- So then Caleb's all like, you betrayed me, like you lied to me,
Hmm.
and he disappears.
You
And
betrayed me. You lied to me.
immediately
Go on.
Livia reverts back to, Caleb, don't leave me here. Caleb, come back to me. I'm like, shut up. I hate that. Um, oh, there was a dancing scene. Maybe it was during the wedding, but I did Shazam it again, and they couldn't find anything. And I was like, oh, fake song.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember. Yeah, when they were in bed. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
I thought
in
about
bed.
you.
It
I
was
was
in
like,
bed. Yeah.
I wonder if he's Shazamming it right now.
Yep, I was. I even rewound it because I was like, okay, maybe I didn't have the phone up like high enough, and I like
Mhm.
tried again. It was like, this is like a hard one, and they were like, no results found. And I'm like, fake song.
Fake song.
Oh, so that's like irritating me because I'm like, what was the real song? But so what's next? Eve, I guess, right? Eve and Ian.
Even in, yep.
So Eve's in the hospital still, and I can't remember. They didn't come up with the plan right away? Did Jamal tell them that Caleb wasn't dead?
I think it was Jamal.
Okay, so she gets it in her head that she needs to talk to Michael,
Hmm.
and she goes back to the monastery.
Oh wait, Karen. Karen was in that scene.
She was.
Yeah, because they were in the on call room, and she was and Eve was basically talking about like the whole thing with Michael, and then that was when Karen said like, "Oh, maybe you unintentionally made Michael fall in love with you. Something
Oh,
like
that
yeah,
scene. Yeah, I didn't like that scene because I kinda
yeah.
felt like it was like you were asking for, like, you can't help yourself, you're such a hoe, like, you just make men, like, you flirt with
Yeah,
everybody.
and
Like
that kinda lines up with Eve's past, which is kinda sick too, because
yeah,
remember
I didn't
Eve
like that. It made me
Eve
feel
was a
icky.
sex worker, so
Yeah. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like what you're implying here." Because even Eve was like, "I do this to men. I can't help myself." I'm like, "Ugh, don't do this, please."
no.
Oh,
Like, I
so I
get
guess
where
then
they're
she
coming
got it
from
in her
no,
head that maybe
because
she wanted to see Michael to apologize for leading him on?
that's what it was, yep. That's what it was, yeah. And I get where they're coming from because, like, poor Charles is a short especially the character if he has such a short history with the General Hospital universe. So they're
Mhm.
like, I guess they're pulling from her past and saying like, "Hey, this is the effect you have on men." But at the same time, I forgot who directed the episode. Was it Albert Alar? I hope it was Albert Alar because I want to beat him up. But anyway, that might have been him because if this was the same episode as the scene that I posted on Twitter,
Mhm.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
So she goes to the monastery and finds, Michael. I'm like,
Michael, yeah.
"Not Caleb, it's not Caleb." Michael praying. And at first I'm like, "Ooh," because now I have it in my head that Michael's dead and this is Caleb. I'm
Mhm,
like I was like, "How does Caleb know, like, where everybody's gonna be?" And he just shows up and is able to, like, set it up. Like, in my head, I'm like, he just, like, perfect timing, set it up, make it look like he's really Michael praying and all that.
mhm,
And she apologizes, and he, I think, admits that he did have feelings for her, but, like, his faith is more important, and he knows nothing could ever happen and blah, blah, blah. And he basically I guess he feels a vibe that Caleb's around, and he, like, tries to get her out of there. He's like, "You need to leave, like, right now.
mhm.
Go. Just go. To keep your baby safe, just go." Um, so then we see Caleb appear, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "So Michael's not dead?" I was like, "He was alive this whole arc." And Eve, for some reason, circles back and is listening to this argument, and we see the back of Michael's head, and she's like, "Michael, who you're talking to?" Whatever, and he's like, "Eve, get out of here." He's like, "Caleb's here." But he turns around and he's Caleb in
Mhm.
the collar and everything,
The
the Michael
priest
outfit.
collar and everything like that.
So then I started thinking about the GH50th and how they tried to say that it was he was mentally unstable, and I'm like, does this play into that? That he was kind of like he had DID
I was
pretty much or
I was
multiple
thinking about that too.
personalities? And I was like, good on Ron Carlivati for kind of like taking pieces of that.
Now, Ron, were you watching this on YouTube like we were?
So yeah, so basically Michael and Caleb are the same person.
Mhm.
I guess Michael is supposed to be the good part. I don't know. I guess Caleb is the person because he's in the family tree.
Yeah,
I
Caleb
don't know.
is the dominant and Michael is the other part.
So I don't really know like where this came from. They don't because they don't explain it. Like, did Caleb feel guilty about killing, and so this Michael personality emerged?
Oh, I wonder if not. I'm hoping they explain this in Tempted because I remember almost nothing about Tempted. Um,
Me too. I remember the end, like the last scene. That's all I
mhm.
remember.
I wonder if the reason why he split, let's just put that in quotes for the
Mhm.
for the audio listeners. The reason why he split was because of the original Olivia.
You think he felt so guilty for killing her that he split?
Mhm.
That's possibility. Um, So my original thinking when we because now we found out that Caleb was the only one in the family tree, I started thinking about the whole Livy Tess thing, and I was like, did they split like that? Like what happened? Like
Oh yeah, wait a minute. That does make a lot of sense.
but
Livy
weren't
Test,
Livy and Tess
Caleb, Michael.
actual two separate beings? Like she was an actual person. It
Mhm.
wasn't just like a hallucination. Like Michael's or Caleb's having.
Yeah, and in fact, the Livy testing comes in Naked Eyes.
Yeah.
I accidentally spoiled I'm re-spoiled because because I didn't see it live, but like,
Well, since Naked Eyes is like a year from this, maybe they just took like the elements of this to make
mhm,
the test thing work.
yeah.
Hmm. I don't know, but I was shocked. Didn't remember this at all. I was like, did I not watch this week? Like, I thought Michael. Like, I for some reason remembered the fight and Michael being dead. I didn't remember any of this.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. I'm 100% sure that I watched the entire arc because it was the summer,
Mhm.
and then school didn't start. School in my area, and it still doesn't start until September. We're not August. We're not
Yeah,
August.
neither were we.
We
It was
never
always
were
like the
August.
Wednesday after Labor Day that we
Mhm.
started.
Yeah, we were never August. So I would have had to have watched that entire arc that summer, and
Mhm.
then somehow skipped Tempted because I went to school and
Yeah.
because of real life events too. So
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and even like back then, because SoapNet was around, obviously.
I didn't have something until a little later. So
Oh, really?
yeah, just a hint later,
Yeah,
hint later,
it
because
wasn't like available in like certain markets, right?
so it was available in my market. We just had basic cable, and SoapNet is
Oh.
premium, I think, or
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's premium. So
Gotcha.
we get premium every so often, but when it began, I didn't have premium. I had basic.
Oh, gotcha. Um, so I think Ian came to the church to get Eve
Hmm.
as she was being attacked by Caleb Michael.
Yeah. Now we have to rewind, I think, because I think that was when he found out that Caleb and Michael were one
Okay,
because of the
so yeah,
priest.
rewinding. Did the whole priest thing and him letting him see Gabby happen before he went to go rescue
I
Eve?
think it did. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure we were gonna see Emilio again. They kept mentioning him, but I was like, "Are they
Yeah.
not gonna show him?"
I was like, oh, can we bring in the judge too? And we never see the judge. So
Well, the judge is dead, isn't he?
the judge is a vampire, I think.
Yeah, but I thought they killed him.
But I thought he was really be a vampire, so he wasn't dead.
Oh, that's right. He died and then woke up a vampire, right?
Yeah.
Also, Gabby is now restrained to a bed. She's no longer in the electric cage.
Well,
She's
remember that was because they told Alan Quartermain that she was a vampire, and that's why she was in there.
Oh, okay. Right. Um so yeah, Ian has a talk with the priest, the family priest that has known Gabby since she was a baby.
Hmm.
And he allows him to go see Gabby. She seems very calm, maybe because she hasn't been feeding.
Hmm.
But also I wondered if she's only slightly below Jack as far as how long she's been a vampire or in transition. Why
Hmm.
is she not deteriorating at the rate that Jack is? Because Jack just like starves himself and he's like sweating and like about to die, and she's just been tied up, not feeding, and she seems fine. She's just laying there, calm, sedated almost.
I wonder if there's a gender component to it.
Hmm.
So like women don't. Okay, and I'm creating my own lore. So first of all, rest in peace, Barbara Eisenstein, who is one of the writers of the story. Um, so I'll kind of say, hey, Barbara Bloom and James Harmon Brown, come to me for some lore. So I wonder if like if it's a gender component that like men are weaker than women when it comes to being vampires.
Maybe. I had almost forgotten her blind loyalties to Caleb because we haven't seen it in so long because she's been
Mhm.
locked up. um, Jamal, I don't know if this was before or after this, but he at one point visits her. Oh no, I'm jumping ahead. I'll get to that later.
Yeah, it was after.
Um, so yeah, and then after the priest sees her, he seems to think that he broke through to her a little bit, and maybe if he continues to talk to her and visit her, maybe they can sway her.
Hmm.
And he talks to her. he talks to the priest. Ian talks to the priest about Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and the priest is like, he's not a priest. So then I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? I was like, is
That
Michael's
brings up
arranged
one
also?
element that make it soft and tempted. If
Really?
Michael's not a priest, who married Ian and Eve? Or are they really married?
Wasn't that in the preview?
It's in the preview, yeah. I didn't even think about that until the preview. I was like, wait a minute, he's not a
Yeah.
priest, so they're not married. Wait a minute.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, I saw a scene where he was like, we're not married. um So yeah, he's like he came to me and he's like basically wanted to fast track being a priest. He's like, I want to be a priest, make me a priest. Like,
As somebody who knows priests who well, I'm a Catholic, but I'm a fallen Catholic. I don't really practice that much anymore.
yeah, same.
Yeah. So as somebody who knows priests, that's not how it works. Like there's the seminary, I think is as long from what I understand, is as long as like going to college.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He
And we
was
have a
just like, no.
seminary like
He was like, I love God, make me a priest. I want to be a priest.
yeah, I know where the seminary is. I've been there before. It's a very beautiful place, but like
um and he's like, yeah, he's like, no, I'm not a priest, sorry. So then I think this is when Ian goes to the monastery to find Eve,
mm-hmm.
who at this point is now being attacked by Caleb
Mm-hmm.
Michael. And I was so nervous because she's pregnant. I was like, please don't lose the baby, because I don't really remember much about the baby. I was like, oh, he's throwing a pregnant woman around. Like, this is under normal circumstances, not really great.
I mean, guess who directed the episode? I mean, they were like, okay, which director feels comfortable about throwing around a pregnant woman? Raise his hand, Alpro Lard.
Ian comes to the rescue and they get out of there. And I guess maybe the candles tipped over because the fire started.
Yeah, the candles tipped over and it lit the altar on fire.
Right. And this is when I was like, Eve, shut up, because she keeps being like, no, Michael, like, we have to save Michael. Like, shut up. Like, he's just trying to kill you. Leave him.
Yeah.
Like, you just saw with your own eyes that it's Caleb. Like, stop. And I don't know if this was a real explosion or if this was a mystical explosion, but they get out of there and Caleb makes like basically the door
bust open.
And he's like out for revenge now.
He said, Eve! Get away from me!
And this is where he ripped his shirt.
And he rips his shirt off.
And I was like, hey. I was like, okay, Michael.
I'm coming to get you! That has had mixed reaction. I posted that. I was like, I need to post this. So, that had mixed reactions. Now I had mixed reactions about the scene in general.
Is this where his eyes go red?
No. That was the hospital. That's when he was in the hospital with the wind. But I was like, wow, this is so over the top. I wonder how many people noped out of the show after this point. I mean, they can handle the vampires, the ground is ready, but then when freaking church explodes,
yeah,
rips off priest collar with the shirt, and everything like that. And then, the amount of people that don't really like his character on General Hospital, I was like, I need to post this.
I was thinking about the budget. I was like, wow, this is a lot for a show that was only mentioned once ever. And I was like, I think it was because it was on ABC. I think if it was on any other network, they wouldn't have been able to do this. Because I feel like this was Disney money. Because they knew they had SoapNet, so maybe they kind of had a little more cash because they were like, oh, okay, it's going to be seen more than once. Because they would like show it a few times a day and then have like the weekend marathons.
So yeah, in fact, that was what we were watching. We were watching the weekend marathon because it's because
it kept saying like Thursday's episode. But I was like, oh, I remember when they used to do.
I remember this.
But also slightly annoyed because it was covering faces at times, and I was like, get out of here.
Yeah, get off the screen.
Yeah, those SoapNet logos would annoy me sometimes because they were so big.
They were.
I'm like, I can't see you're blocking the screen.
Now, quick segue. Which SoapNet graphics did you like better? The first ones, like they're purple and they had like the that we've been seeing, or the later ones that everybody knows?
Um, I guess the ones that we've been seeing because they were smaller.
Mhm.
Like, I remember them doing, like, Dysfunctional Family Night, and they would have, like, this huge, like, icon in the middle, and sometimes it would block people's faces in scenes, and I'm like,
Mm,
"Go away." But I do like the later SoapNet logo, like, the more modern
mhm.
looking one with the
Yeah.
net inside the O.
Mhm.
I like that logo better.
Yeah, I like that logo better, but I like the, what are they called? Like, the interstitials of the first one where it's like, a woman grabs a guy's butt on in
But
the elevator. Like, there's, like, one that only comes around Halloween where, like, she's, like, running like, a woman's running from, like, a mysterious figure.
Uh-huh.
Um, there was the one with the 2 women, like, walking past each other kind of dynasty-like.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember those.
I love those ones. I wish they would have implemented them more in, like, the interstitials more in, like, the later ones.
Yeah.
But
Um,
back to Port Charles.
where were we?
So
Oh, so
yeah, Exploding Church.
yeah, Caleb rips his shirt open. I'm like, "Okay, Michael Easton, still have a crush on you in 2001." Um, so yeah, so for some reason, I don't know why they decide that this epic battle is gonna go down at the hospital. Maybe because Eve is pregnant and they think they could trick him into thinking that she's having the baby, and that's why it has to
Yeah.
go down at the hospital.
Mhm.
Um, Also at some point, when they were on the roof, I was like, it looked smaller for some reason because they had like the helicopter landing, and I'm like, this is where they had the nurses' ball. It looks smaller. But that was just like a little side thing. So also rewinding a little bit. Back at the mansion after Caleb abandoned Livy, Jack convinces her that their love is strong and they kiss, and somehow they're teleported back to the lighthouse
Mm.
and they
I
end up
remember
making love. And I was like, she just made love with Caleb. I was like, vampire baby? Like, what's happened?
well, she does get pregnant later, but I'm not gonna say who the father is.
In any other circumstances, a woman making love to two men in close proximity, this would have been a who's the daddy story.
Oh, yes. Ooh, Supernatural, who's the daddy storyline.
So I think it's Sam, but I remember listening to old episodes of Daytime Confidential and they were talking about GH and how Sam like didn't even shower between men or something and she like slept with two different guys.
Wait. It was Sam, but then it was also I think oh my gosh, who was it? It was somebody else too.
Was it?
I think it might have was it? It was from Young and the Restless, but I forgot who it was.
Oh, okay. And I don't even remember who the guys were that they were talking about her sleeping with. I'm sure one was Jason, but I don't know who the other one was. Maybe Rick?
I
Because
forgot
didn't
it
he
was
do a
Sam
thing with Rick
Rick.
at one point?
Or was it was no, it was Sam. Yeah, it was Sam. I was like, or was it Liz? No, could have been Liz. Um, oh my god, Hillary. That's who it was. It was Hillary.
Oh, it was Hill. Oh,
Because it was
Devon
when
and
Will was blind and she was having an affair with Devon, and then she would go back and forth between the two of them.
right. I remember that.
Yes, so
That's
yeah.
that's actually around the time I started watching regularly. um, that's when like Pratt took over, and I was like, because I didn't have the history with the show, I was like, this is great, and everybody's like, I hate this, I hate Pratt, and I'm like, but it's so exciting. There's explosions and stuff. Anyway, back to Port Charles. Why did I bring this up? Oh, because Livy had made love to two guys, right?
Mhm. Same
So,
thing. Yep.
so, Livy, I'm so sick of her crying. Like, I know we mentioned this. Like, she becomes a bitch super bitch at one point.
Mhm.
But even after making love with Jack, she's like laying on his chest, and her eyes are just watery. And I'm just like, this girl is just so confused about how she feels about anybody at any given moment.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because I probably was like that when I was 20. So
I mean, Kelly Monaco's doing a really great job
he
at it.
does,
Like,
yeah.
she understood the assignment, but it's just annoying.
Oh yeah. Look, if I was transported back to my 20-year-old self, being like, everybody else got a man and I don't got a man. Like I would slap myself too.
So she's afraid that it's not over, that Caleb's gonna come back. And she's right.
Mhm.
For revenge, because they know he's not dead. Um oh, so this is where Jamal, so the whole group is now at the hospital, and Lucy's back in town with Kevin. Oh, Rafe didn't come. So I thought Rafe didn't come until Tempted. So I was surprised to see him. But then once I saw him, I was like, oh, he's not gonna be in the final battle? Like that was weird to
I
me.
mean, I get why he's not in the final battle because he was introduced in Transylvania, but
Mhm.
so that would have.
Do you think he was only meant to be in Tainted Love and they decided to bring him back for Tempted?
That's what I'm thinking.
Or it was like one of those things like they introduced Ariana and she kind of like came into the next arc.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael, because Michael was in the
Michael was
end
a
of
time
Time in a
ago.
Bottle. So maybe it was like that. They were just kind of like introducing us to the character so that we knew who he was in the next arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I was surprised to see him, and then he wasn't in the final battle, so I was like, oh, all right. My memories feel like jumbled. I feel like Livy. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's happening. Also,
um,
this is like 20, what is it? 2020, like maybe 23 years ago? No, sorry.
20.
25 would be 99, 24, 20, 23 years ago, yeah.
Wow, that makes me feel really old.
I might be this year, so don't remind me.
Especially since I have vivid memories of this time in my life. um, so now everybody's at the hospital. They know that Lucy's a vampire slayer. They all kind of just accept it. They're just like,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, okay. I
Okay.
laughed at a note because Karen was like, let me go sign out so nobody like tries to come find me during this. And I'm just like, look at her. She's like, they're not gonna catch me on the clock. She's like, I don't know. I'm busy. So Jamal says that he's gonna try and convince Gabby to lure Caleb to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And he lets her, he like unwraps her and gets her out of the bed. And at first I was like, oh, that's dangerous. But then I'm like, oh no, she's not going to attack him because that's her brother. She can't bite him. So I was like, he's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically trying to appeal to her, I guess, humanity to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did laugh and I wanted to clip it, but I didn't have time. But when Jamal leaves, he like knocks on the door, I guess, for the guard to open it. The door wasn't closed. It wasn't closed. It was like up against the door frame, and the cop turned the lock to open it, but it wasn't closed. So there was a little blooper there. Yeah, I wanted to clip it, but I didn't have time. So what happened next? Oh, so I guess he thinks that she is gonna help.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, is she just running free? Because she ends up on the roof and Caleb appears to her, and this bitch, she reverted right back to like wanting to be his side chick. Like she was just
Oh,
like,
hell
it's
yeah.
gonna catch you, it's a trick, she is not in labor. And then when he was talking about how Livy betrayed him or whatever, I was like, don't tell her that. She's gonna think she has a shot now. Like,
Exactly. Yep.
because you know she hates Livy for that.
Oh yeah. 100%.
But I forgot all about that because it's been so long that I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this bitch obsessed with him. Which makes me like wish she was like more in the action. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was fucked up. They had her like locked up for like weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they did to the POCs back then.
Yeah.
Um Chris really didn't have much. He's like doing his research. He's just like on the side. Um, hmm. What happened
He does
next?
get bitten.
Oh, he was so excited.
Oh, he was so happy. Oh my gosh. He was like, yeah, let's go.
I guess we're like in the final battle, right?
We're in the final battle. Yep.
So they were all at the hospital, and it's like Tuesday's episode. I was like, are we just gonna run in circles for 4 days till we get to the final like battle? Because again, this was like another situation of people be in one room, and they're like, we have to go find this person, and then like
Mhm.
that person would be in that room. It's like they all just like running around like Scooby Doo.
Mhm.
Lucy was like in like nurse scrubs. I guess that was supposed to be her disguise. She was in nurse scrubs with like an arrow. What is that called? A crossbow?
Bow and crossbow.
Yeah, which was
And
a
she had
plastic
glasses
one,
on.
but it's supposed to be silver.
And she had like these big, no, not as big as mine. I mean, so mine's are big and stylish. Hers are big and dorky, like 2020. Sorry, not 2021. 2001 dorky. So
Yeah, she wasn't she kind of like that when she was a librarian? Didn't she have like glasses and she was like a
Mhm.
little yeah. She hated the scrubs. She's like, oh, she's like, it's so baggy. And she's
and,
like, who wears flat shoes? They're so uncomfortable.
and Karen said, well, you gotta make, I forgot how she worded it. She was like, well, you gotta like
Play the
do
role.
it up and stuff like that.
And she even said, she's like, really? She's like, nurses' shoes are supposed to be so comfortable. Lucy's like, I want heels. um, so yeah, Caleb is just kind of like appearing to everybody throughout the hospital, kind of tormenting them. He finds Shaq and Livy, and he tells them it's going to be a long night for them. Um, he finds Eve with Ian. There's a little bit of a struggle, and he knocks Ian out. And Eve tries to like
No. He
pull
doesn't knock
Michael out.
Ian out. He booms. He slams him into the wall. That's what he
Yeah.
did.
And Eve tries to like pull Michael out of him, so she just keeps screaming, "Michael, Michael, come back to me! Like, protect me!" And she does for like a split second.
Mhm.
She's also wearing the family crest
Mhm.
that's supposed to protect her, but I don't know if that works anymore now that we know it's the
I
same
don't think it
person.
does. Yeah, I don't think it does.
um, Ian comes to. Caleb disappears. Um, what else happened? I'm trying to remember who he visited. Oh, he visited Chris,
Mhm.
and he's like, oh, I'm flattered that he's like, but you can come straight to the source, and he shows his teeth, and I guess that's when he bites Chris. But Chris is missing because like his papers are all over the place when everybody like goes into
Yeah,
the young hall room, right?
you don't call for him. And then we
Um,
forgot one important element a little before the battle. How we knew the battle was starting. The wind.
all the
I mean, we
wind,
mentioned the
the
wind, and
wind
then his
inside
eyes
that they
appear
all felt.
like the Tainted Love logo. And the wind only appears to the people he's going to see. So
Right.
like Chris didn't feel the wind. There were other characters that didn't feel the wind.
They mentioned that
Frank did.
there was nurses that didn't feel it.
Yeah, Frank did, but we didn't see Frank's reaction. So I guess
Yeah. Well, because Frank and Karen, they're not really involved in this arc much. They're just kind of like talk tos. Like they're
they
not even
had
in
their
the
own
battle.
arcs.
They're not even in the battle. They just kind of
They
react
had,
like, "Oh, it's over."
they had their own arcs, so
Yeah.
that I'm willing to give them a pass because they had their own arc. So
Yeah.
even though Julie Hannah Cruthers doesn't remember it, but no, you should see the locker room. She said that the arc started with Tainted Love, and I'm like, no, baby, no,
There was
baby.
2 before
There
it.
were two before it.
I guess that's when no, because Time and Ball was Supernatural. I was gonna say maybe that
How
she's
about with
just
Supernatural?
referring to
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. Um, so I'm trying to remember what else happened as he was, like, tormenting people. Oh, so they find Gabby on the roof, and she's lying, saying Caleb's not coming, and Lucy calls her out on it. She's like, "You saying that you couldn't get him to come, but you're also saying that you have this connection. You're a liar." Like Lucy's being all confident as a vampire slayer now.
Mhm.
Um, really ballsy of Lucy to think that she could fight him on her own. Because, like, at one point, they're in the staircase.
Mhm.
I don't remember who was in the staircase with him.
Jamal and Allison.
Jamal and Allison, and she gets them to leave, and they just, like, willingly leave Lucy there by herself with him.
There was when, like, not Jamal, where Caleb attempts to bite Allison, and then that's when Lucy comes up.
Mhm.
But Allison mentioned later that he merely kissed her neck,
Right.
and now she felt really creeped out about it.
But when they go back to the on-call room because they're running in circles, they say, yeah, Lucy's in the staircase with him, but they think she could handle it. What? You just find out she's a vampire slayer. What are you talking about? They're like, he seemed a little shaken by her. So that's what you go off of.
Mhm.
And I think this is when they realize that Chris is missing because they see, like, I think they see blood and the papers are all over the place.
Mhm.
They find him passed out, right? Because they're, like, taking his
They found him passed out, yeah.
pulse, and they said that he didn't have one or it was weak.
Mhm.
So they know that he got bitten, and they tie him up. And when he comes to and they tell him he got bitten, he's, like, so excited to become a vampire.
Oh yeah, yes, this is it. This is my time to shine.
And all I could think is that the actor hated, like, the show. Like, he hates it.
Oh yeah. Note to self: don't ask if I ever go to a con and I see Nolan North. Do not mention poor Charles.
He'll be like, security.
No, he'll probably. I mean, he won't. I mean, I hope he doesn't. But like, he'll probably punch me if I do.
So they have, like, a final battle on the roof by the helicopter landing. Caleb has Eve because she keeps thinking that she could pull Michael out. And Lucy's, like, hiding in a door frame with her crossbow. I don't know why they think that they needed him to think he was Michael for her to shoot him. Like, what was that? I
Yeah,
didn't understand
I
that.
don't know either.
Why can't you
I
just
don't know
shoot him?
either.
He was in perfect range.
Yeah.
But Eve ends up getting Michael to come through, and Lucy had nothing to do with his demise. Like, it was like, I
Yeah,
guess, the
Eve
battle
did
of good and
shoot the
evil, and he,
crossbow.
like, it was like the swirl. Lucy ended up shooting Ian.
Yeah, by accident, yeah.
But there was, like, yeah, so I don't know if it was, like, this cosmic good and evil battle, but I guess Caleb ends up turning to dust because there's, like, this tornado-like thing,
It was lightning in
and
the
there
tornado.
was lightning. He gets struck by lightning, and there's, like, dust on the ground that we see at one point. Everybody feels normal. Chris is really disappointed that he's not a vampire. He's, like, feeling his teeth. He's like, "Are you sure?"
He's like, darn.
So I was a little bit shocked that was mid-episode. I
Yeah.
didn't when the church stuff happening, like, they all went down to church, I guess, to thank God and kind of have a memorial for Michael, because the priest mentioned Michael, and I when I saw that, I remembered it, but I didn't, like, before I saw it. Um, and we see Emilio, and Gabby apologizes for attacking him, and
Mhm.
I don't ever is this the last that we see of Emilio? Because I don't really remember seeing him ever again.
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
I know another brother. I keep mentioning that there's another brother
Yeah.
that comes and stays longer than Gabby, but
Mhm. Is it Ricky?
it's Ricky. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was cute too.
Yeah.
Um, so that's pretty much it. And the last scene, which is what I remembered, is Livy still on the roof with Jack, and she just wants a minute, and he kind of is nervous to leave her alone, but she reassures him that it's over. But he's like, I'm just gonna stand here and let you have your minute and watch you. And she still hears Caleb in her head talking to
Mhm.
her. And she opens her hand and his ring is in her hand. I remembered this. And then I
Yep, I
remembered
remember this.
remember the whole Port Charles Tempted starts Monday.
It's
So
always Lynn Herring that does the announcements. It's she sounds so good doing the announcement.
yeah. Oh, I didn't know it was her actually.
Yeah, it was Lynn Herring. Yep.
Oh, cool. So yeah, that was. It's still so good. I love it. It definitely holds
Then
up.
like
It's
one
rewatchable.
part one part that I really liked with like the all like kumbaya, the battle's over, that sort of thing, was when it was the four young the young set together, and they were like kind of in their couple little
Yeah.
couple thing, and they were like, yeah, thank you for being there for me. Like I was like, oh.
There's this music cue that I'm assuming is supposed to be Jack and Livy's like love theme because I think it only plays with them. And I kept saying, "Oh, I have to make note of this," but then I would forget until it was played again. But it's like this really like slow theme, and then it kind of builds up.
Hmm.
It swells. Um, yeah, and I just love it. I'm like, oh, this feels like their love theme. Like whenever there's
Yeah,
like an emotional thing happening.
Karen and Joe had a love theme, had like a kind of background love theme that's kind of like I really liked. And then oh my gosh, so it happened a few times during like the last week, or maybe it was the previous week. Maybe it was week 12. But they had they had like the music cue that played when Carly was in the elevator with Sam. That do 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 do. I love that one.
Really?
Yeah, they had it like they were
Huh.
borrowing music cues from General Hospital at the time.
Oh.
So because like I honestly I thought that they'd stopped doing that
Hmm.
because they were like, oh, we're supernatural now. We don't need your music cues, and I guess they
Now we have mystical music cues.
I have mystical music cues, like, and then they just brought back some of the music. They just brought the music cues over on GH because I remember that same music cue played when I think it was Jonathan Jackson's Lucky when he was locked in the when he was kidnapped by Helena, and was it Stavros or I
It
think
was
it,
Jonathan Jackson. It wasn't Jacob Young.
so it was when we found out that Lucky was was held captive by Helena,
Oh, okay.
and it was the end of Jonathan Jackson's run.
Oh, okay.
So only the audience knew that Lucky was held captive.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else at Port Charles thought he was dead, and they played that music cue, the one with Sam and Carly in the elevator. They played that music cue a few times during that.
Oh, that's cool. Was there any details I forgot?
No, I think we covered everything. Hey, we're about an hour, so
So what do you think, like upon rewatch?
I still thought it was good. I mean, there were elements of it where I was just like, "What the fuck?" Then I remembered that these were the same writers who did Clone Riva, so I was like, "Let me just."
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm excited for Tempted because I remember the last scene of Tempted because I was home and I actually watched it, but I didn't really watch most of the arc. Um, so we're kind of in the territory where I don't know anything at all.
Yeah, Tempted was an arc that I didn't watch. I don't even think I watched. Maybe I wait. Miracles Happen was after this, right?
Yeah, because it
Okay,
was like
I
that
remember
short.
Miracles
It
Happen.
was like that short holiday arc.
Yeah, it
Because
was the
then the
1 month
following
arc.
year was even like they could do every 3 months and it would complete
Hmm.
the year. Um, yeah, I didn't really watch too much of Miracles Happen. It felt a little too wholesome for me, so I kind of skipped that one. And then
Oh
I was
no,
back in school for Secrets, so I saw bits and pieces of
mhm.
Secrets, and then I saw the end, which pissed me off. But
Oh yeah, that pissed me off too.
I think once Secrets ended, I was like, I'm done with the show, and I would just kind of like keep up through like the SoapNet promos.
I watched it till almost the bitter end. I think there were because I was in school, so yeah,
Yeah,
I graduated 2004, so like the show ended in the fall of my senior year.
yeah.
So I I watched most of the show. I remember the ending. Like I remember the end of the show. So I remember that my affiliate moved it to 3 o'clock in the morning and I had to tape it.
Oh wow.
Yep, because Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the half hour version debuted on in Port Charles's time slot, and it was like only a week or two that happened.
Oh,
Yeah, it was only maybe like whenever premiere week was. They were like, oh well, we're not gonna air Port Charles in its regular time, so we'll just put it on at the middle of the night. So,
well, thank you for joining us for our coverage of Port Charles Tainted Love. It was a lot of fun.
mhm.
And we're really excited about Tempted, which is the next arc. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.